All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Mike Maniscalco with Ihiji. I'm also joined today by Josh Carlson at D-Tools. Josh, do you want to say hello to everybody?
Hello, everyone. I'm Josh Carlson. I'm a Senior Marketing Communications Manager here at D-Tools.
So today's webinar, we're going to talk about how successful dealers are using Ihiji and D-Tools together to find recurring revenue, save themselves money, and engineer better systems for their customers. So today's webinar, we'll talk a little about Ihiji, how we help out, how dealers utilize Ihiji within their businesses, how they use D-Tools to support Ihiji, and then we'll do a quick overview of D-Tools and a short demo of one effective method of getting traction with Ihiji and Vision utilizing D-Tools. So that's kind of our agenda today. Really quickly, this is what we're looking at. We're looking at a little walkthrough of how people are using Ihiji successfully. Josh will spend probably about 10 minutes talking about D-Tools, and then we'll do a quick wrap-up talking about the kind of summary of things and answering any questions that remain at that point. So I think a lot of you understand these problems. You live them on a day-to-day basis. You're seeing shrinking hardware margins. You're seeing unpredictable schedules because of service calls. At the same time, your expenses are growing because you're having to roll out of trucks because there's more and more pieces of equipment in the home. A lot of this is holding back your business growth because margins are declining and you're looking at new revenue opportunities. Some of this complexity in the systems we're introducing are actually introducing unnecessary truck rolls. You have to drive out there just to reboot something that had nothing to do with your system. At the end of the day, this is really an ineffective service model. And what I want to start by talking about is the most successful dealers out there realize that rolling trucks is expensive. So what they're doing is they're putting parts and pieces in place to reduce their truck roll costs. A lot of this revolves around IP power control, networking, remote network management, having remote access and remote visibility into their sites so that you don't have to roll trucks for every single job. And getting this right is a delicate balance. You know, there's the budget side of things that you always need to be aware of, but the cost savings is significant. On average, the average integrator rolls about six service calls a month, resulting in about 72 calls a year. It's an average of 66 truck rolls, an average of $150 a truck roll round trip. That's $11,000 a year, roughly, on truck rolls. What if you can eliminate 50% of that just by using the right tools? And what I'm going to talk about today with D-Tools is how you can get traction with the right tools within your business by forcing a top-down approach and engineering systems with remote management in mind. That's really the key here. Now, if you're not already doing networking, I'm sure you're thinking a lot about it. Most integrators are now into the networking business. This is a point where you are expected to be IT specialists. And the reason this is you take a look at this map, all the devices that used to live behind proprietary buses are now communicating on the network. They're leveraging the network for control, for content delivery, for communication, and the network is really the backbone of our systems. And what I want to highlight is this problem is not going to get any better. As we go on and as we add more and more devices, that challenge gets really critical. So we're going to talk about how Ihiji helps with this. Ihiji is a cloud-based remote network management tool. It gives you more visibility into your networks so you can do more remotely. It gives you remote access, remote power cycling capabilities, and all enabled by a little black box. And this is really the key, I think, to utilizing D-Tools and Ihiji together. It's specifying your system so that every one of the systems that goes out the door has one of these black boxes on it. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. I do want to take a minute because a lot of you on this webinar are not only D-Tools users, but you're also Ihiji dealers, to talk about the difference between these two black boxes because it is important when you're specifying your systems. We have a app 2100. Actually, now the app 2000 was phased out last week with a very similar model that just is a chassis change. But the app 2000 or 2100 is used for your everyday networks. And the app 500 is used for your smaller networks where budget is a concern. So if you're concerned about budget and the customer just doesn't want to spend a lot in their networks, that's when you use the app 500. The challenge with the app 500 is we introduced this almost 4 years ago. The hardware itself was a 6-year-old technology. And when you're looking at the modern throughputs of services such as AT&T, Gigapower, Google Fiber, it just doesn't have the bus to support high bandwidth throughput. As we're seeing 150 meg, 300 megabit service hit markets all over the country, that becomes a limiting factor. That's one of the big reasons to use the app 2100. The app 2100 is capable of handling these more modern broadband connections. The app 2100 also has a more modern processor, meaning it's able to crunch a lot more information. So on your larger networks, this is very important. And today, the number of devices we see on average on a network is over 25 devices. The app 500 really starts to get stressed as you add more and more devices, so that's just another reason to use the app 2000. So my recommendation is when you're setting up D-Tools and when you're setting up Ihiji as an accessory to your networks, to use the app 2000 by default. And if the sales guy is pushing back saying, hey, I don't know if we're going to get this additional costs in there because this is a small network and it is a small job and this customer's budget conscious, then you can make the swap out for the app 500. And that's really the best practice. The app 2000 or app 2100 is what you should be using in your everyday jobs. And the reason this is important is because I want to point out a few growth metrics. I think a lot of dealers are starting to realize this, but a lot's changing, and it's changing really, really quickly. Today, we see about 10 billion devices on our networks. But by 2020, we're expected to see 50 billion. That's a 5x increase over that time period. So huge increase in the number of devices that we're having to support our networks. And in tandem with that, we just talked about the more modern broadband connections. Gigabit internet speeds are coming to markets all over the country. Gigabit speeds are 1,000 megabit per second connections, which is 10 times the average speed of a broadband connection just a couple of years ago. I'm sorry, not 10, 1,000 times. This is a huge number. It means big things for our industry. Number one, it means you need to be specifying the right equipment. And we'll talk about that later. It has to be gigabit throughput capable. It also means that more and more devices are going to leverage the network for content delivery, 4K being one of the big ones in streaming. So you need to make sure the switching and the routing and the wireless systems that you're putting into your installations today, specifying and engineering today, can meet these requirements a year from now, because that's how quickly it's coming. 50 states will have gigabit internet available to them by the end of this year, which is rapidly approaching at this point. So let's talk about how Ihiji helps all of you, helps with all this. We'll talk about how you can leverage Ihiji, and then we'll talk about the D-Tools implementation side. Now, Ihiji is going to help you reduce truck rolls in this world of complexity within the networks. A lot rides on that network. And if the network isn't functioning the way it needs to be, that content that's being delivered is degraded. There's a great commercial that Google put out recently about a bunch of users, and they're trying to stream internet, they're trying to stream Netflix, they're trying to watch ESPN, and they're watching the game, and all of a sudden it buffers, and they miss the goal. Or the kids are trying to watch a cartoon in Netflix and just buffering, and the kid's interrupting the mom as she's trying to do work. But those are the issues that you're facing when your networks are stressed, and that's the issue you need to be resolving for your customers, because we are the experts, and we're being leveraged to support all this. The other things Ihiji can help you do is keep your customers happier. It keeps them sticky. It keeps them coming back. We are transitioning to a services-oriented business. So once you get that sale, you want to keep that customer happy for life so that when it comes time to upgrade their equipment, they're coming back to you. Another big thing is we're cutting your costs by reducing truck rolls. We're saving you time troubleshooting in the field. We're generating new recurring revenue services for you, and we're giving you the ability to operate much more efficiently on a service and support standpoint. Now, there are a few different ways that we see dealers really being successful with Envision. And the first thing is standardizing, and that's where D-Tools comes in. Because standardizing will allow you to start cutting your costs immediately. If you're getting remote management into all of your jobs and remote power cycling into all of your jobs and the right networks into all of your jobs, and doing that through an engineering system like D-Tools and ensuring that everything's standardized, then you're in a much better place. You're cutting costs, you're making more reliable systems, you're creating happier customers, and your business is winning. But there's a lot of interest around recurring revenue today, and that's another thing Ihiji really can help you do. And by incorporating Ihiji into D-Tools properly, you can actually attach recurring revenue to every single network sale that you bring in the door. Because with every single network sale that you bring in the door, you should be able to offer a recurring revenue service to your customers. These recurring revenue services look something very basic like this. For as little as $49 a month, your customers can have internet speed testing, ISP up down times, remote reboots, remote truck rolls. You work on their behalf to solve problems with the cable company and the ISP, but you're billed for your time. You'll monitor their Wi-Fi connections. You'll do secure remote access, make sure their network's secured. Watch devices to see when they're up and down and try to fix those problems proactively. And if they need a simple remote support solution where you just need to log in and change a preset through a program, it takes less than 15 minutes, you'll do that at no additional cost, because you're doing that right now for free anyway. But now you're starting to get paid, and your tiers look very basic. You can offer this to customers large and small. You can offer it on a $1,000 network. You can offer it on a $10,000 network. That dollar amount would just slide up a little bit. So this is a really easy way to start earning recurring revenue. What I would recommend doing is when you're creating your standard network packages within DTools, attaching the App 2000 and attaching the $49 a month plan, but build it out as it's a 1, 2, or 3-year service option. And as long as the customer's budgets are there, just include 3 years of service with every one of your networks. And what you've just built is 3 years of recurring revenue for that customer. And the next customer that comes in the door, you're doing the same thing. And the next one, the same thing. So that every proposal that goes out the door includes recurring revenue. This is not a high dollar amount, but these dollars add up over time. I actually have a calculator I'll show you in a minute. One of the benefits of being an Ihiji dealer, just a quick FYI for those of you who don't have these, we are continuously updating our templates and sell sheets, calculators to help you figure out recurring revenue so that you've got all the supporting documents so that when your customers do get that proposal that DTools spits out, you've got something there to explain what this recurring revenue service is, why it's important, why it's required for every one of your networks. So we have all that information available to you. But I mentioned, $49 a month doesn't seem like a lot of money. But the average integrator is doing, well, 50 jobs a year. So it's not unreasonable to think that you could sell 10 new contracts a month. If you're doing 10 jobs a month, that's not that's attainable for a lot of integrators. 10 contracts a month at $49 a month is over a 1-year period a pretty insignificant number. It's just under 100K. But if you look at how that compounds, and as you build customers over a 4-year timeline, over 4 years you're looking at over $600,000 of RMR opportunity for your business. And for a lot of businesses who are doing 10 jobs a month, that's a significant amount of the revenue. So recurring revenue compounds over time, and that's why it's so attractive. So these combinations of things is really why we see integrators being so successful with our tool. And now I'm going to let Josh talk a little bit about how DTools works, for those of you who aren't familiar. Luckily, a lot of you are DTools users, so this may be a refresher on SI 2015. But I'm going to turn it over to Josh for 5 to 10 minutes. He's going to walk through it. And he's also going to show you how you can incorporate Envision as the appliance as an accessory to every one of your routers. Because I really think that's the key to getting started here. It's just make the Envision appliance an accessory to every one of your routers, and you start saving money. And then once you've done that and gotten your engineers past that, you add the recurring revenue aspect, and you're just up and running. It's kind of a top-down approach. The sales guys have to opt out of it. The customers have to opt out of it, and you're setting the right direction. So Josh, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, great. Thanks again, Mike. And then again, for those of you who are DTools customers, I'll make this pretty brief and to the point. That's not overlay much of what you guys already know. But for those of you who don't, DTools, we were founded in 1998, and we started as a small residential company. And as the industry grew and our software was further developed, we now cover both residential and commercial worldwide. And again, we're a worldwide leader in accessible, highly accurate system design and documentation platform. So our flagship product was a system integrator. We just came out with System Integrator 2015, and actually at CDA we'll be previewing SI 2016. What it is, it's a proposal, system design, and project management software solution. And from large commercial integrators as well as smaller residential, SI 2015, or System Integrator rather, helps you guys increase revenues while reducing the time and costs associated with the integration of low voltage systems. Our software is data-driven, and I'll get into that in a little bit. And the data-driven workflow, it links equipment lists to project documentation, which include estimates and drawings via Visio and AutoCAD, and enables the creation of work and service orders to effectively manage your projects to completion. Essentially, we help streamline the complete systems integration process, saving you time and money associated with time. Sorry, am I in control of the slides, Mike? Oh, sorry. Okay, so actually, I got into this already. We're good to go. But I want to say also, as Ihiji, I want to thank them for putting on this webinar, and as MVP partners, which stands for Manufacturer Vantage Point, and thank them for being our partners. And as a manufacturing partner, what they do is it allows them to have direct connection with you guys using DTools and building customer loyalty by arming you guys out there using DTools, their existing dealers, with the data you need to recommend, specify, and install Ihiji products. And the fact is that all users of System Integrator received product data from Ihiji at no additional cost. So, this data, because they're MVP partners, it's richer than non-MVP data. There's more images, manuals, dimensions, IOs. It's updated frequently and up to spec, and allows, Ihiji allows you guys to be more efficient when specifying products. And additionally, through our software, you guys can receive messages from them informing you guys of product updates and other useful information such as offers and incentives. Essentially, them being MVP partners is really a great support for you guys. All right, so of course, we create our software to take care of a lot of pain points that happen with the systems integration. For example, we have your inefficient manual estimation and proposal processes, disconnected processes between sales, engineering, project management, and install teams. As at the time, there's too many cooks in the kitchen, but this is something we definitely help try to take care of with clear communication across all boards of the process. Duplication of efforts, costly errors, missed opportunities, and of course, a lot of times there's no solid, repeatable process. We've come to the point where we've had people that working with at the time being, obviously things have evolved from there, but just Excel spreadsheet and the Word document, and having to consistently, constantly update it per project and add it per project, which just takes a whole lot of time. So we look to kind of nip that in the bud and streamline the process. Let me see. Okay. So again, our SI 2015, or our software as a whole, it's data-driven. And I'll get into that again in a second. When I say data-driven, we've got thousands of manufacturers and hundreds of thousands of SKUs, but companies such as Ihiji make sure that their information is up to date, up to spec, so there's no miscommunication on what is accurate and present during your system integration process. I'm going to go for the next slide, please, Mike. All right, so right now I'll just quickly get into the project estimation, rather. D-Tools is data-driven, the process that makes it easy to create fast and accurate, professional-looking estimates and project proposals that ensure you're accounting for your design and labor and install labor, and helps you better track all the needed parts and accessories so you don't leave money on the table. And we'll get into that accessories part later, as Mike mentioned, to essentially making sure that when you're doing your projects and you're using routers, that there's no question whether or not Ihiji is an accessory and part of that package as well. And our software makes it easy to create fast, accurate, professional proposals based on actual Ihiji and manufacturer product specifications. Install times and labor costs are automatically calculated and added to the proposal, helping to ensure that projects are created and estimated, actually, rather, with profitability in mind. Okay, system design. So our software allows you to create detailed engineered drawings via Microsoft or Visio. Our software actually comes with Visio, but if you're an AutoCAD user, you can add it to our software. And because everything in our software is data-driven, you can quickly and easily generate detailed line diagrams, plan diagrams, elevation schemes, and schematic drawings simply by dragging and dropping an Ihiji product from your catalog or project file to your drawing surface to create drawings. And then from there, you can actually you can place equipment on a floor plan. You can connect entire systems within a schematic page. Entire. Are you guys? I know you guys are residential, but do you do commercial as well, Mike?
Yeah, we did. We have a lot of dealers who do a blend of commercial and residential, so definitely.
Okay, perfect. So just as an example, if you do a giant home theater system, and that is part of the centralization of that system integration design, you guys can actually do a whole schematic page centralizing around Ihiji products with showing point-to-point connections, and enables you to then generate installation reports such as wire schedules, wire checklists, or even generate wire labels for entire projects. And then, of course, detailed input and output information can be captured in the catalog and then visualized on the schematic drawing for you guys to have detailed documentation before and after the actual installation. And then the final part of it, which is essentially at times the most critical element of any project, is the installation and service project management. Our software has a complete project scheduling, resource management, and powerful reporting capabilities to help ensure that you deliver your job on time and to budget. And it makes it easy to assign, for you to assign your internal installation and programming teams, schedule those tasks, then communicate those tasks via email, tasks or appointment via Microsoft Outlook, Google Calendar, or any other system that you guys might use internally. And then, of course, schedule install tasks for your team to generate reports and track the progress of the install, and keep an accurate account of time and labor costs, which is really important. And our project scheduling enables you to create and manage tasks for the project with install dates and deadlines. And so for each task, you can actually assign resources, add equipment and labor items, and I'll briefly go over all that in a little bit, with estimated time and cost for each assigned task. And these estimates can be compared to actuals after the task is completed and then reported on for labor and project costs. Okay, so obviously tangible ROI, time is money for all of you guys out there in the field, and streamlining the business process is what we try to help you guys do, as well as Ihiji as a manufacturing partner to make sure you guys have everything you need and are armed at the most critical stage of your business process to help you improve process efficiencies, increase revenues, reduction in time and the cost, of course, the cost associated with that time, and ultimately, the end game, increased profitability per project. And then, of course, this is information in case you guys need to get a hold of us. Likewise, Mike, I'm sure, can share my email contact with you guys if you have any specific questions in mind or like to reach out to me directly. I can obviously, I'm always available on the phone to help you guys out with whatever you need. And then, of course, likewise, if you are a current customer, D-Tools, I'll be happy to point you to your appropriate account manager, whomever that might be.
Yeah, with the thank you email that goes out, I'll include contact information so that you have Josh.
Okay, perfect.
Contact info.
Sounds good.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and make Josh a presenter. He's going to walk you through a quick demo. If you don't know how to do accessory tie-ins on your products, he's going to show you how you can accessorize the Ihiji appliance and also service it if you'd like. As part of your routers. So if you are using a standard router or a subset of routers, you can actually add the Ihiji appliance as an accessory so that every one of those routers that goes in your project, the Ihiji appliance just carries along. And what I really like about Ihiji is you can make packages and sell solutions, or what I really like about D-Tools is you can make packages and sell solutions so that if you are to specify Ihiji Envision, a router, a switch, an access point, the installation time, the programming time, configuration, it would just spit out a completely solution package so that you're not selling individual light items of hardware and software, but it's just saying this is your network and includes the switch, router, this, and this, and it configured fully delivered price is $5,000. And then your customers aren't nitpicking every little line item on that and shopping you all over the internet. So that's one of the things I think that D-Tools does really well. So Josh, I'm going to make you the presenter here. Just 1 second, and then you'll actually.
Just let me know whenever you see my screen.
Okay. There you go. So got it. Once you're ready, just go ahead and share your screen, and we'll walk through that portion. All right.
Okay. Perfect. Lower this screen. Perfect. There you go. So you guys can see the SI 2015 star page.
That's what we're seeing.
Okay, perfect. Again, so this is going to be a pretty brief demo, as many of you actually know the software itself, but ultimately I just want to show you quickly. I'll have to show you another time how to actually create it into a package form. However, I can show you exactly how to add it as a category with any product that will permanently be part of your catalog without questions. Also, what I'd like to do is I'll remind everyone later that I'd like to do a follow-up in which we can actually dive into an actual project, a follow-up webinar rather, where we can dive into an actual project, which will include drawing to connect, Ihiji to its conjoining products to build systems. All right, so let's just show you the quick setup. All right, so obviously this is where you set up your company information. You can change or add your company information right here. I have Carlson Corp. This is my daughter, Juliana. You have your basic information here, fax, phone number, email, and this is when so we sell based off concurrent users. So if you buy one seat of our software, as many computers as you'd like can use that, but only one at a time. So if this is the only computer using the seed, you would maybe only use this window on the account. We can also opt to share with all users. So you have your company logo, company information, whatever you want to show on your reports and proposals, essentially. All right, you can define users, resources, and groups. So here I have a bunch of people with different roles. For example, Jill Carlson, I have her as, Jill email, roles, project manager. You can have them as installer, multiple, or just one. You can actually add roles as well if you have something else like a supervisor, on-site, whatever it would be, a trainer. You can add as many roles as you like and assign them to people. And then you can allow them to either sign into System Integrator or not, depending on how much information you'd like to share with them. And of course, as a group, which you can actually change up as much as you want, you can add as an administrator, allowing them complete access to information, a field user if you just want them having access to certain aspects of the software, not everything as well, or sales if you just want to have them, deal with the estimates and whatnot. And then, of course, you can change the groups and their allowances as well. And so here's I show user groups. I have a field user. You can actually add you can add at different aspects, or you can allow them to have all of them, save and close, or save, and then you can also add a new one. So you've got project design user. And then you can allow them to do projects, catalog. Maybe you don't want them doing quoting or reports, but you want them to be able to do applications, stencils, and then you save and close. It's really that easy. All right, and then of course, this is something new for SI 2016. D-Tools now comes out of the box with QuickBooks integration, and if you're a QuickBooks user, you can map your company QuickBooks files to D-Tools. Then you can push things right from within D-Tools right into QuickBooks as an estimate or a purchase order, which helps save time and really prevents any double data entry that you guys might have on hand. All right, people, I won't get too in detail on this. This is essentially if you want to import whatever clients you already have, rather than obviously, again, saving time, entering them in manually. You can import them via CSV file. If you have an Outlook account, all of your clients, again, through QuickBooks, just whatever's the easiest way for you to get everyone into your catalog and your software and your system as fast as possible. And here we go. This is where I'm going to go briefly, real quick, into the catalog in regards to adding Ihiji as a accessory. So, you can, if you already have a long list of products and data, you can import that via CSV file. But ultimately, what we have available, again, our software is data-driven. We have a product library that's provided to you. So as you can see, all these manufacturers in green, there are about 150. They are manufacturing Vantage Point partners, such as Ihiji. So Ihiji allows your information right out of the box to be provided with the software, or if you're already a software user, when Ihiji became a manufacturing partner, we got their information up to date, up to spec, and free for you guys to use for your system integration, design work, proposals, and projects as a whole. So let's do with, let's say I want to download a Ihiji product. You can search by a manufacturer or category. Okay. So I'm clicking on Ihiji. Here you go. So you can click individually or you can click both. So what I'll do is I'll add both of these. I'll download these products for this example project. And here you'll see the description, which is generally, the manufacturer, model number, the category. They also have a subcategory of controller, their URL, if there's a part number that happens to be part of it as well. Description, this is for, there's obviously a short description of what it is as well as a longer. This is for whatever you'd like to show up on your reports and proposals, so however briefly you would like to. Again, when we get back into it, when we do an actual project next time around, we'll show you how you can actually decide what is shown, and this goes in regards to pricing as well as accessories. What is shown to the client and what is not is entirely up to you guys. So what I want to do is add, oh, not yet, sorry. There you go. So what we'll do is we'll add another manufacturer. And so these are our extended library. These are all of our manufacturers, including MVPs and non-MVPs. Sorry, get back to that. And let's go to router, sorry. And we'll go to, will this work for you, Mike? Any product, really, what we'll do.
Yeah, the Nortel is fine. I mean, it's
okay, really perfect. So we're going to download this product as well. Perfect. Click here, and obviously there's the information for it, but this is how short and sweet it really is. Again, this is a lot of our software is, we try to get it as, there's a lot going on with our software, but once you get everything together and handled, it just streamlines the entire process because it saves everything as such. So I want to add to this one and use this as an example of any router you potentially use. You want to make sure your routers have an accessory that is an Ihiji product. So I want to add a product as an accessory. There we go. And since I've already added Ihiji in my catalog, their information will be there right there. And so let's go with the APP 2000. Double click it. Now this is going to be part of an accessory as this product moving forward. So you can do a number of things. If you can make it non-billable, I'm guessing that's not going to be the case. But if that was the case, you would add that. You can make it where it's recommended. So when you're doing this, you'll see when you're laying out your system, there will be a recommendation. There also you can set up where there's a prompt. It'll remind you that this is an accessory, in case so you know that it's part of the package and everything that you're doing. Of course, you can add labor as needed as well for that actual product, and the labor will be added based on the each product. You define stages of labor, whether it be rough, trim, and finish, and there's different pricing obviously goes into that, but you can add labor for that. What you would do is save and close. And so let me go to my products, Martel. And this is the one we just used, and this is me going back to my catalog. It's automatically added as an accessory. And so this will be permanently part of your catalog as far as you go. So, depending on what manufacturers you guys are dealers for routers, this is something you can just make easily. It's that simple as adding as an accessory moving forward. So there'll be no question whether or not this is part of the, part of the package that you want to provide. It automatically is as such. So that's a quick end of it. But again, the next showing that we do, we'll get a deeper dive in the actual project and show you how to add packages and different packages to make sure like you've got a whole system selling as one, which would include Ihiji as a main part of it.
All right, thanks, Josh. So I'm going to go ahead and take back control and go back to presenter view. All right, that loads up my screen. So I wanted to basically summarize with a number of points here, which I think are really best practices. You know, I think a lot of dealers have really latched on to this concept, especially ownership and management. You know, if you're a service manager, if you're an IT manager, if you're an owner, this is a really easy concept to grasp, remote management in Ihiji. But then a lot of times it's dictated down to the sales team and to your engineers, and it just doesn't get the attachment that you were expecting, and you've got 50 other things to worry about, so it gets lost in the shuffle. So I think that this accessory approach, where it's just required with all of your networks and it's added with all of your networks, and if a customer wants to opt out, you can, is really a good way to do it. So that it's standardized within your D-Tool solutions. And then I also really believe in the package solution. So all of our networks, this is the cost. That includes this remote management tool, which is a requirement as part of these commercial grade networks. And it makes the sale just much easier. There's a lot less friction that way. When you're trying to sell Envision as a standalone tool and a standalone product and it's priced as a multi-year contract, it just gets very difficult. A few best practices. What we do see dealers doing when you get into the recurring revenue side is having options for 1, 2, or 3 year service. And that, again, if you've got the budget, you can just slide 3 years of service into the network and not have to worry about the renewals. It just makes things a lot easier. As I mentioned, the F2100 should be your go-to for your everyday networks. The F500 should only be used where budget is a real concern and a real problem. As many of you know, Envision, the physical installation of the appliance is really straightforward. So we would go into the final stage of your project more than likely with half an hour for installation, because it really is just a plug-and-play type thing. The engineering side and the appliance installation is literally you plug in a wire to the switch and you make sure it's got a port on the switch of the router. And as many of you do know, we do recommend plugging into the router if you've got the ports available. What this allows you to do is start cutting your costs, get it as a standard, figure out recurring revenue, build from there, build a stronger business. And then there are a few notes that I will mention. As far as D-Tools best practices, I really think it's important that you guys start to standardize your networks. And D-Tools allows you to do that. Go ahead and keep your systems clean. Go in your database and clean up the manufacturers that aren't being used so that old routers, old switches, old access points aren't specified. If you are switching manufacturers, models, networking equipment very regularly, it becomes a nightmare for management when you have to get in there and reconfigure a router you haven't logged into in a year. It's really challenging. If you're using the same thing over and over and over, you know it inside and out. Your business is much better off. So standardize your networks and leverage D-Tools to do that. Make sure you're doing gigabit throughput capable equipment. That goes for your routers as well. Make sure your routers can handle gigabit throughput, because if you're not specifying those in your jobs that are going to be delivered 6 to 12 months from now, those routers will more than likely be close to being outdated by the time they're installed, and that's not what you guys want to do. The other thing I really think D-Tools does a good job at is engineering projects. So networks, it's really important you engineer it properly up front for things like bandwidth throughput, the number of ports you're going to need for hardwired devices. Hardwired is always better. Account for PoE consumption, which I think they'll allow you to track. But fully engineer your networks up front, leverage D-Tools capabilities to do engineering. They do it really, really well. And then once you get the as-build, once you get the drawings and specifications in the field and you deliver that system, a lot changes in the field. And we know that, and ports are bad on the switch and something gets plugged into a different port, but ports are VLAN associated, so all of a sudden the device is on the wrong VLAN. Make sure you keep that network documentation up to date. So make sure those field changes on those engineering drawings are updated and checked back into your engineering team, because it's really important to have good documentation for your networks and for all of your systems. So those are a few best practices. Like I said, we wanted to keep this webinar brief, so hopefully that gave you guys some things to think about. I'll go ahead and kind of wrap up and just say thank you to everybody. We'll give you a few minutes for questions and answers. The one thing I think I wanted to leave you with is a lot of dealers say, okay, that's great. as I get this going, where can we start? Number one, we see a lot of dealers going back to existing jobs and selling into existing jobs where they're having problems or where it's remote. And then obviously working towards new jobs with D-Tools is really helpful, but that takes a little longer to build your pipeline, so just keep that in mind. And with that, I will say thank you to everybody. Thanks to Josh and D-Tools for co-hosting this with us. Thanks for allowing us to become MVP partners. Hopefully you'll see more product integration as the two of us move forward with some new products that we're working on here at Ihiji, where D-Tools I think plays nicely into some of those things we're doing. So look forward to seeing everybody at CEDIA as well. So Josh, I'll give you a chance to wrap up, and I'll look and see if there's any questions that haven't been answered already.
No, it's great. Again, I know this was we were going to make this a fairly brief call, but obviously following CEDIA, we definitely like to do a follow-up, kind of get a deeper dive into the actual project process. And then, of course, from there, we can kind of walk as we go, and you guys can ask questions as we're doing actual design work and proposal layouts and stuff. But yeah, no, Ihiji's been a great partner and showing their support not only for us, but as well as their dealers. And that's, I think, what's ultimately important is that we're in this together. So Ihiji being a manufacturing vantage point partner really helps show support for you guys. So that's pretty awesome.